Hi everyone, happy to see all of you and welcome back to today's session organized by VODAN Africa. My name is Putu and our highlight today is I will copy paste the agenda in today's meeting. So the agenda will start by country coordinators update and update of the video and will be led by Dr. Reginald. And then I will follow by the update of deployment, the exploration of deployment that I summarized from the discussion from the country coordinator, and will be followed by explanation of the issues with the aggregate data pipeline by Prof. Francisca, and update of finance by Prof. Francisca. Then will be followed by Prof. Miriam. The topic is generation of new support and update on outreach meetings. And the last agenda is a special issue in print. So as always, try to keep your mic muted during presentation and to prevent background noises. And if you have any question, please raise your hand or chat the question in the type the question in the chat box. Now I will hand over to you, Prof. Miriam, to open the meeting. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Putu. Great to see everybody. I think I've missed a few times because I was on the road. And I really look forward to the update today. Good to see everyone. So do you take over the, or shall I go through the agenda, Putu? I can also do that if you like.
Yeah, you can go through the agenda, Prof.
Okay, good. Then we start with the update by the country coordinators. And Dr. Reginald, I hand over to you for that.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. It's good to see you back. I think the last few weeks we have been dwelling on the minimum viable product. That has been our focus.
Yes.
And the countries that had done a lot of progress are Kenya, Uganda, and Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria, and Mekele. So those four situations have worked very well. And what will be important is to understand what will be the updates per country. So what I know, first of all, let me give an overall picture, is that we have approached the MVP in two ways. One of them is that there are data stewards here who have gone through the training in the past 1 year or two. People like William in my group are experts. So when we bought the computer, William was able to follow up with Cambry and Beacon of Hope. So he is an expert in that and did the training. In other countries, it was getting the computers in one place, uploading the VODAN application, and then going through the deployment process. But then transferring the computers from one locality to the health facilities. So those two scenarios are very important to understand so that we see how we move together. So I will start with the Kenya situation, then we can go to Uganda, we can go to Nigeria, and then Ethiopia for now. So the Kenya situation was that we did a deployment with the Cambry and also Beacon of Hope. And William was able to test with Seth that the system is working. Where there was any technical hitches, we were able to consult with the technical teams. And I saw two videos, which also shared with the Putu, maybe not very elaborate, but the one of Seth showed that for sure the system was working, the dashboard, the image, and then you could also test the dummy data and was able to produce. What I've not been able to see is perhaps if an Excel sheet can be produced from whatever we have. So in the two health facilities, that is what I would say, this is where we are. So if you're talking about working towards MVP, this is where we are. Now, the third health facility was supposed to be NMS or Zambezi. But then NMS, the director is going for, it's supposed to be in politics, so didn't want to send a machine to a center where we're not sure. Then Zambezi, they are renovating the place, so to be ready in August. So we're holding on to that computer, the third one. So that's the report from Kenya.
Okay, and are you thinking that you will replace the NMS, or how are you thinking about that? Or you don't know yet?
No, I think NMS, because we already interacted with the 12 of the health facilities, they're a great asset to have, because these are the Ministry of Health, and they have 15 health facilities in the sub-county hospitals. They call them level 3 to 5. And they are really the key. If we are to progress with the Kenya and the Ministry of Health, then the NMS is a very important entry point. Yeah. So we will keep them for now. Yeah.
Okay, so it is maybe waiting for hopefully there will remain peace with the elections, then there will be elections, then after that, this can be picked up for both Zambezi and NMS. Is that the scenario you are hoping for?
That's the scenario. And the elections are on the 9th of August. So after that, for sure,
yeah,
pick up with them. Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, that's very, very good. So that is clear on Kenya. Putu, is there an Excel sheet in which we can follow all the progress and have all the videos by each facility and so on? I think that's a good suggestion of Dr. Reginald.
I
And
have
also,
the yeah.
Yeah, and also like this kind of detail, NMS has to wait for after the elections. I mean, everything is on hold in Kenya for the elections at the moment. So we all know that. And Zambezi, the renovation is a peculiar situation. So if you could list those, then that gives good background on the progress of deployment there. And so then the way in which you deploy, Dr. Reginald, is that the machine goes to the hospital, then the virtual machine is installed there, and then William checks with them to make sure that it is all working, that the data clerk understands what to do with it, etc. Is that correct?
That's very correct. That's very correct.
Yeah. Good. Dr. Reginald, can you take me through the other, all of the other countries? So we have had Kenya. So then.
So we could go to Uganda. If you can go to Uganda, Mariam, you can give an update, please.
Yes. Hello. So for the case of Uganda, we now have 4 health facilities that have received the computers. And basically what happened, the deployment was done within one location. And we also have 2 data stewards that have been assisting within the health facilities, Nabombi and Ernest. And just yesterday, he managed to deliver the other computer to the 4th health facility, which is Liantonde in Barara. So now we have 4 Liantonde, Case Clinic, KU, and Lira. So we have 2 health facilities left to be delivered to, and that's Hoima and either Holy Innocents or Act Specialist, one of the 2. And yeah, so far that's the current update.
So maybe just a quick question, Professor, before Professor comes in. So Mariam, your strategy was to have all the computers in one place, install CEDA, and then deploy them to their own health facilities. That's what you're saying?
Yes, basically, you know, with the VM, it's just installing the virtual machine, right? And then deploy the image. So the actual setting up of the let me say the dashboard and everything, it happens within the health facility, right? And it's the data steward that assists the data management personnel to do that. And so far we've done that for 4 health facilities in Uganda.
Thank you. Back to you, Professor.
Yeah, very clear report. That is very good. This is still at the phase of deployment installation. At some point, we need to look at the final MVP, which is also includes the production of data and the DHIS. But I think at this moment, we really want to understand the level of the deployment as such. So 4 in Uganda and 2 to go. Is there a time table on that one, Mariam, Dr. Reginald?
Mariam can update timetable.
Timetable on what? On data production?
The other 2.
Installation in Hoima and Holy Innocents.
Oh, actually with Hoima, it's a bit complicated. Okay, with Lira, with Holy Innocents, I managed to fund the transportation for that. But with Hoima, it's quite expensive. So I'm thinking of getting another facility, maybe within Kampala. So, yeah, that's the current situation.
But Hoima is already agreed. They have also already signed up to it.
Yeah, they agreed.
And they are part of KIU, so.
Yeah, but the transportation to Hoima is quite high.
Mm-hmm. But the funds received for the computers was 1,000. That is the computer, and then the transportation. The computers didn't cost 1,000.
I think that was handled by Olwale. I didn't get the funds for the computers.
Yeah, but then you have to go back to Olwale on that. You are the country coordinator. So the funding that is handled by the country coordinator, even if somebody else received it. I don't know. They report to you.
Yeah, because those funds that were provided were actually used up for the transportation of the other first computers. So
maybe you need to then send a detailed set of receipts, right? So that it can be considered by Frederick what is remaining.
Okay.
So because in any case we will have to be able to have all of these costs covered. So Frederick, maybe you can go to all the country coordinators and ask for the receipts on the computers and the follow-up costs on that. Is that possible?
Yeah, that's actually possible. Yes, I will get in touch with all of them. Then we do a cost analysis of all the transactions that have happened over the period.
Excellent, great. Back to you, Dr. Reginald.
Yeah, thank you, Mariam. Good report. Now we move to Nigeria. Who is here? Let me see. I'm trying to see somebody from Nigeria who can give a report.
Abdullah is here, Dr. Reginald.
Okay, please.
Abdul, Abdul.
Kawu, yes. My good friend Abdullah Kawu, please go ahead.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Yeah, so in the Nigerian case, like we've earlier reported, CEDA, our MVP has now been deployed on all the 21 facilities. However, some of the facilities being institution-based, so talking of OOU, FUL, they are currently, we are currently on strike, the industrial action, so they are not actually put to use, but they are ready to be used, right? So except for those, the others are now with each of the facilities, and even for those there with the facilities, but not in use, yeah. So for the others, we had earlier encountered a few challenges, but we worked through the technical team and all to resolve them. And based on our last discussion with Dr. Reginald and Putu, to do a video, demonstrating that the data clerks are able to use the system. So far, I've received 4 videos from 4 facilities. And I mean, it's cool with due to the holidays, but we expect that this should be done in no distant time. Yeah, so of course, there are some costs that the country coordinators will be able to speak to, but just to note, we also had some costs that were not planned for, the UPS, the logistics to some part of the country. But they're in the best position to say that. But yeah, from the technical point of view, we're good to go. And till today, I mean, some minutes ago, I was with Adam on a call trying to resolve some of the challenges with the facilities. So we're doing pretty good from Nigeria.
Thank you, Abdul. I think something you haven't emphasized and is going to affect the course is about the power fluctuations, something with the power outside where you work from.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that's very important. I mean, Adamu could even share one experience. He had to pick his power, the generator, we call it the power generator, from his house to a facility just to get it set up and get the. So it's really a big problem. I'm not sure how we want to solve it, but yeah, it's something to note. Power. Yeah, opportunistic use of the internet, because now we have been able to say to walk around CEDA. We had some of the discussion with Samson and all on how to minimize the use of the internet except where necessary. But yeah, but there's still the need so that data can be visited anyway. So yeah, so one thing to think is how then do you want to ensure that when data is needed, you have it. Yeah, so.
And it's an important point. We can also learn from Mekele how they've been able to manage. Maybe
Okay.
it's a question mark somewhere. Thank you.
Yeah,
Back to you, Professor Miriam.
Yeah, very good. Congratulations, Nigeria 21. And I can see in the Ibu app the videos coming and that with EAT. So really very good work. I think Dr. Reginald will take us to Mekele soon, but I think that these issues that are being listed, that it would be useful to have the work on the cost reports that Frederick will do, and then Abdullah and anyone, country coordinator, the kind of the unexpected thing. So I mean, the USP, the logistics of transportation, none of that could be a surprise. I mean, we have always known that. The power, well, I think the issue was a bit bigger than had been anticipated somehow, and the use of the internet and so on. These are issues that Araya and Samson have asked that we reflect on these things and are they part of the current MVP? Are we solving them towards the next? Do we have still ways of dealing with those? That is the kind of discussion that we need to have. We don't need to resolve today. But what I would like to have is a more systematic reporting on well, the videos and the reasons for not yet deploying and when they will be deployed as per the conversation today. And then the problems around deployment, which can have technical, can be technical things, can be capacity building things, can be situational things like the facility lacks power or whatever, and so that we can then address these in a systematic way, and also that we know them, because we are still a research project really, so to understand what issues are coming up. But I am sure Araya will speak to that. So back to you, Dr. Reginald. Those were my comments. The one thing that I don't hear people reporting on, but maybe you want to pick that separately, is the signing of the data use agreements, Dr. Reginald. But I think you want to go to Michele first.
Yes. So Michele, thank you. Michele, you can take over. I think is that Samson? Samson, are you?
Yeah, Doctor.
Michele, okay.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Miriam and friends. Sorry, yesterday I was not able to attend. So Samson attended the meeting. So this week, Samson will give us an update for the Mawala team. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Araya. Good afternoon, everyone. So to start from the agreement, for us, the agreement has been already signed by the regional health bureau, Dr. Hagos, for the other clinics and hospitals. And for Megala, it's signed by Dr. Emmanuel. In regard to the how we approach the implementation and what we have been doing from our side. As you all know, our context is a bit different in mainly in two senses. One, we haven't received computers. We're trying to mobilize resources from here. So what we did is we did a formal needs assessment which has from connectivity, resource, human resource, with so many aspects, which has already been shared. And based on the assessment, IDER was ready to deploy. They provided us a server, and we have managed to deploy it in IDER. And the architecture that we followed in deploying in IDER is a client server architecture, because we couldn't find as many computers that can support our MVP in the different OPDs. What we chose instead is to find a good server and then use that server to host our MVP, and then the regular computers can now be used in the different OPDs. We've tried to train some data stewards on how to use the system as well. And in relation to deployment of the product, what we tried to do is, instead of deploying it using the virtual machine, we created another image that can be installed on the host computer using Ubuntu. So we gave it to the ICT people, and they managed to install the server, and then we are moving on from there on. And we are following a step-by-step approach in scaling it to other sites, because the other sites need to also make the services available.
One moment, sorry. Can everybody mute, please?
I think it's better now. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so that is briefly, that's what we have done. And also one more approach that we're trying to follow for those facilities which have become totally difficult to make a good computers up to spec. What we're trying to do is we're trying to retool our system so that they can we can be able to deploy in computers with lower specification. It's not like we're going to deploy the whole CEDAR in those facilities with inferior infrastructure, but it is a product which is CEDAR based, but adapted to smaller spec, because we couldn't access the facilities are ready. They want to work with. They are happy to take our product, but they don't have the resources. And one more issue that we've seen in IDER, there is a good uptake from the outpatient department because they need to work on with the reporting. And we have tried to work in collaboration with HMIS department. So far, I think the progress has been good, I would say. Over and out.
Thank you, Samson. Professor, go back to you. You have any questions?
Yeah, very, very impressive, Samson, that you have adapted the software to the computers with legacy and volume issues. Very impressive and very interesting and important to hear that the interest for uptake is there. Can you explain a little bit further why? Because intuitively, we might think that in those very difficult circumstances, under the blockade in IDER, you have other priorities. Why is the uptake there?
Yes, from the interview that we made in as part of the assessment, the reason for the uptake, one is there is shortage of paper because of the blockage, and they would want to. They thought that the using computerized system would make cost of operations a bit lesser. The other thing is most of the doctors, because of lack of fuel and many things, even the doctors are now engaged in looking at the data, and they got a moment to do research, like many medical doctors here, to see into what has been going on and stuff like that. And when they see the quality of data that they had, they see that there is a lot of gap, and trying to make like when they are asked when donors, for instance, or supporters come to the facility and ask them spot on, like how many diabetic patients do you have, and like different doctors would say different things, different numbers, and that if only we had an electronic system which can give us a report, they say that it would be very helpful. So in those senses, they try to want to have a system that can help them in reporting and in understanding what's happening. There is a big interest in data and research, I would say, as a result of the a little bit of also time that they get apart from treating, they are into research. I think these are from my side. If there is any addition from Gatu or Dr. Raya, they might add as well.
Very important report, Samson. Gatu, you want to add?
Hello, Prof. If I may add one more thing. During the readiness assessment, we were asking the nurses, and surprisingly, they were more interested in they were interested in the system. However, they were more interested, especially in ANC. We found that they were very interested in if the application or if the product would enable them to search for a patient using their serial number. And because the ANC, they have a 4-round checkup. So in the first round, the patient who has come in the first round, it will come second round. So in the second round, they are very tired searching the patient name using serial number in the paper. So they asked us if we could add this searching mechanism into our product. So as you all know, the MVP has no searching mechanism. So what we, after our readiness assessment, we were able to add this searching algorithm into the MVP. I don't think it's involved in the other image, but in our image we were able to add this searching new feature to the MVP. Yes, thank you.
Abdullahi.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting experience to share. And just from the Nigerian side, I think one thing also came across, although it's the use of OpenView, right? So when we give them direct access to use the template to populate data, sometimes it can be wrongly, sometimes it's not rightly used, but we think that if we have the OpenView bookmarked, it makes access easy. So they know when I'm ready to do data entry, if I don't need to delete any record, I just go to this link. I just click here and then I enter, I save. And so I think it wasn't thought of, but we think it will be very helpful to avoid data error and some of those. So just sharing.
Very good. So we have a very clear readiness assessment that was carried out in Mekelle. I don't know if you have similar assessments in the other countries. Maybe that can be taken up in the coordinators meeting, Dr. Reginald, and also the inventory of adaptations to the readiness assessment, which is maybe Putu, something that you can record, at least in terms of the sort of the bullet points, what these are at regional or country or facility level. Putu, is that possible to record that? Just list it, I mean.
Yes. Actually, I already made the Google Sheet by per country, by per health facilities, and I will put the progress and also the notes.
Yeah, great, excellent. Very good. Dr. Reginald, should we have a quick check also on the situation of the data use agreements? I understand in Mekelle they have been signed. Did you also receive them? And what about then Nigeria, Kenya, and Uganda?
Yeah, thank you, Professor. Mekelle, they already done their part. I think they was very holistic. So the Director of Medical Services signed, stamped for all of them, all the health facilities. In Kenya, we have Kemri and Beacon of Hope. Both directors received the agreements. Beacon of Hope have already signed their part. They have shown me the sample. They just need the endorsement from Ministry of Health. Kenya Medical Research Institute, the director, Dr. Samuel, promised to share with me today the details of the agreement. So that's why we are in Kenya. Perhaps we could get an update from Uganda and Nigeria. Uganda first.
Uganda, Mariam?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So with Uganda, we've so far received 2 agreements back. We hope to receive 2 this week from Kes Clinic and Lira Referral Hospital. We already have the one from Hoima and KIU. And then the others, hopefully this week or next week. Yeah.
Okay, so that means that if Hoima has signed the data use agreement, then you obviously follow up with deployment there.
Yes, that's right. Trying to follow up with it. Yeah.
Okay, and then we have
Nigeria.
Nigeria. Kawu?
Yeah, so I think Dr. Ibrahim is in the best position because he has been following up that specifically. The
I
last
don't
I
think
know
he's
is
there. He's not there, but if we can get a report on that, Kawu, that will be good. Then we will hear how the situation is. That's fine.
yeah, I mean, the last I had on that was he was following that through the ministry because the way the facilities work is that they take more like instructions from the ministry. So they had said until the ministry is able to sign, and so he has been in contact, but I don't know how far that has gone.
No problem. We will get your report. Maybe you can ask Dr. Ibrahim when he has time to report
sure.
to Dr. Reginald. And maybe Dr. Reginald will pick this up next Monday then.
Yeah, thank you. Back to you, Professor. Thank you.
Then we are taking a report, I think, from Putu on deployment in, if there's any progress in Ethiopia, Wondimu, Addis. Putu, did you follow up with Tigist?
Yeah, I follow up with Tigist, but still no response from Tigist, Prof. Miriam. And 2 hours ago, I follow up with Tigist, but there's no still reply from her. So I don't know what is the last condition, but Tigist said the last discussion with her, he said that this week will be the computer will be deployed, will be delivered in the health facilities.
Yeah.
But I don't know what is the last update.
Yeah. Will you follow up with Tigist, Putu?
Yes, sure.
Yeah. And I had a call from Ronald. Things are being sorted out there. There's continuously being sorted out, but I still think it will be okay. But I haven't had time to call back, so I'll call back. I'll do that one, Dr. Reginald, with Zimbabwe. And then Somalia's on hold for now because our friend Jamal is on holidays. So that one is on hold for now. Okay. Putu, are you in touch with Dr. Jeremiah? Are they deploying any data, or is it Kawu that would follow up on that, on the data deployment in Tanzania? What is exactly the situation there? Nobody followed up? Putu, no?
Yeah. I follow up with Dr. Jeremiah, Prof. Miriam, but I don't know the last update, but Dr. Regina said there is a deployment in the health facilities. Could you clarify that, Dr. Regina? But I don't know about the data deployment in the Tanzania.
Yeah, they've installed it,
Yeah.
but I don't know whether they are deploying data, but maybe not now because you have been very busy in Nigeria. It has been Eid. I mean, so many things. But are you planning at some point to do a systematic review on the on what is happening in terms of the data production in all of the facilities across, Abdullah? Are you planning that work?
So we also were thinking of really some assessment of, 3 issues: energy needs, internet, and the pieces. I think those 3 things we wanted to take inventory of. In fact, we try to see if we can get that data relative to other facilities to just establish that fact.
What do you mean with pieces?
No, computers. Whether it's just the computer we have given that is only in the facility, and so there could be some facility with system but not functional. So it's also just to know to have the inventory of, okay, so that this one doesn't end up like others. How many do we really have? And then some other things around how many hours of electricity do they get from government, and when, so that it enables us have a view of the leverages we can have.
Yeah, so the way in which I think that we had organized the work is that the readiness assessment, that is the task organized by the country coordinators. Maybe you are doing it, Abdullah, I don't know, but it is Dr. Ibrahim and Dr. Sakinat who are expected from Nigeria to provide the readiness assessment. And I think the readiness assessment is coordinated by Dr. Araya. That was the task. I can pull it up, but we had the task of what everybody was focusing on.
Okay.
So the deployment, the problems around the deployment and the readiness assessment that relates to it, like do you have power? That is part of the readiness assessment. Those issues are coordinated by Dr. Araya, who may give it to Samson at some point, or Gato, I don't know, but Dr. Araya is the point person for that. So I think that in the country coordinators meeting, Dr. Reginald, and Putu can help him, will request from all the country coordinators to have that, the readiness assessment, and what are the obstacles to being ready to produce the data, because that is the minimal viable product, isn't it? Yeah. That we have data in the health facility and we have the aggregate data across the whole VODAN community. I was asking you about the data because I think that you took the responsibility to look at the quality of the data.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that can be done other than that you know that the data is being produced first of all, and then what the quality is in terms, is this daily reports or weekly reports or monthly reports, and do the data clerks have issues with, I don't know, any issues, but how is the what is the quality, what is determining the quality of the, both in the facility and what goes to the aggregate. But I had understood from Professor Francesca that the first problem in the quality of the data had to do with an error in the software from Oluwola and Ezra. I don't know what that error was, but that is was the information on from Professor Francesca. So Oluwola had been working on that. I don't know what the status is of that, and also whether that has been resolved for everybody and whether there has been a new virtual machine in which that problem has been resolved. But what is the status report on that, Kau?
Yeah, so to take it from the last question, because the status report of the error from the, so I think that is largely resolved. So we had issue of getting the dashboard work, but now it's kind of aggregates on one part. There are like 3 data points. So we're seeing the total aggregate, but the aggregate for the visit for the day and for the month is still being worked on. So I would say work is in progress, but we're seeing the result of that. And then generally to speak about the data quality aspect and how I have been looking at that. First is the issue of, I was considering completeness of data, and this has to do with, it needs the system to be ready and in use, but we need to find a way of reporting that what is actually in the registers are what we are now seeing in the dashboard or in the system. So the issue of completeness and accuracy also. Accuracy in the sense of are all fields entered? Yeah, so I was on the verge of creating a sort of a tool that could be useful for people directly interfacing with the clinicians, either the data clerks themselves as an introspective one, or we can also have some people visit them and do those audits and quality checks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been working on something, but it's still not ready yet.
No, but I understand very well, Kawu, because I mean, 21 health facilities, you're ahead of everybody. So that's a lot of work, and it is good that this error was identified and that it is being, it's in the process of being repaired.
Yeah.
So it's just really for us to understand, and I think it is excellent if soon you can have an idea of how to go about it, and I'm sure you will need to think about it. So we will do another progress report later in time. Thank you, Kawu. Thank you very, very much. Then I think, Putu, that we are with point 4, which is the update of the finances. Professor Francesca is traveling to Valencia today. She's in the plane. There was a meeting yesterday with which included Jasper and Philips Foundation and so on, and they were asking about transferring the final tranche. But apparently there was miscommunication on the report of achievement so far. So before going on the plane, Professor Francesca was dealing with that. In any case, from my side, this miscommunication has been picked up and transferred now to Professor Francesca, so I think we will hear from her when she is back on the other side of the flight. Michele, I see your hands.
Yeah, sorry, Prof. Before we go to the next agenda on finance, I want to reflect on the learnings from each country. I think so far, the common learnings or kind of challenge can be summarized. For instance, electricity power is a common challenge. If there is no consistent, reliable electricity, there is a challenge toward the implementation. The other is connectivity, the internet connectivity we need. Like for Tigray, for Maqala, we are not sure the strength of the internet that we may have will enable remote carry. And I think this was also raised in Nigeria, at least in some of the health facilities do not have connectivity. The other, as Samson earlier mentioned, of course, other countries have got the VODAN MVP, the computers, so they may not have a problem with the specification of the computers. But as we go for a scale up and for the uptake of the implementation by the Ministry of Health and the Regional Health Bureau, we have to think that our VODAN MVP product can be downloaded in any type of computer available in the setting. That is one of the challenge that we face here in Magala, thanks to Samson and Gatu. They were able to customize the application so that it can work with existing low spec computers. But this will remain a challenge as we go to the other health facilities. Either has relatively the better server and the likes. But the other point that I didn't hear in the reflection and would like to flag is that in the contract agreement, there were assumptions when we deploy the VODAN MVP in each health facility, we assume that there will be a responsible person for data privacy, for access and control, and for data quality, monitoring, and the like. So how is this going in each health facility? Do we have any problem in identifying the right people for data privacy, data quality, access and control? Because health facilities complex, there might be a conflict of interest among the assumed responsible persons in the health facility. I can mention as an example the IDER case. There was a confusion whether the health management information department or desk is responsible for like data quality, data privacy, or the ICT department. People or health workers or people in the health facilities, they may assume this is their responsibility while it is not. And we may not find the right persons in a health facility for data privacy, data quality. So we want here, because this is an implementation, we want to implement it into the existing health system, no matter what the challenges we may face. So I'm afraid that whether we are implementing just in a shortcut way or in the existing health system, in the existing data flow. So would be nice to hear the reflection from the health system perspective. And the other on the data production, yes, the authorities may sign the contract agreement, but the challenge may come once the data is produced. So are people asking for compensation? I can take an example of the IDER, for instance. The people or the workers at the HMIS department are not responsible to enter each patient data into a computer. It is the responsibility of the nurse or the nurse in the OPD. So when we add new templates, most nurses, they feel that we are adding a burden to their work, although they may see the importance of the application. So how is the feeling? How are we solving this overburdening or duplication of efforts into the health workers? And the HMIS people may say, oh, this is not my role. Their role in the current flow of either hospital, for instance, the HMIs do not go to each patient and record. They just work once the data is in the computers. So these are some of the examples I am mentioning, so that we can build the trust issue, and it could be nice to hear on this issue. May not be today, but I'm a little bit puzzled that we are overlooking to the details of the health system. Thank you.
The points you raise, Araya, are incredibly important. So I think, of course, we're not going to be able to go into all of this today, but first of all, we need to inventorize those issues, and those issues should go beyond power and electricity. So the issues that you raise, we are making assumptions on the division of roles in the health facilities. Does it work like that? I mean, this is an implementation research. So if it doesn't work, it needs to come up through the researchers and through the country coordinators in our group. So I've taken note of you raised 5 issues. I've taken note. I can make a note of that for our VODAN group, and I can distribute it in the country coordinators group. This is really setting out what is relevant feedback once we also go to well, the partners, the funders, the next publications, etc. It is on those findings that we need to build the next phase. So yeah, let's come back on that issue, Araya, and see how we allow everybody to report back on that. With regard to the, if I can then go to now the last issues, I have 2 more minutes. On the finances, we are now making the final, we're waiting for Professor Francesca, then getting the final tranche. The final tranche settles all of the outstanding issues. Frederick, that is right. And then we also still have some unallocated budgets, which in the context of also the assessment that KAWU is giving, that Araya is giving, that the country coordinators are giving, needs to be considered by the board of VODAN. And in addition to that, one issue that we have also not discussed for a long time is that Putu also with Mingyu, who is always here, have done excellent work on the issues of privacy, protection, etc., permissions, which we haven't been discussing for a long time, but which really ties in with those issues that you raised, Araya, and which again are linked to not just to remuneration or to willingness to produce the data, which would be KAWU's issue, but also ties in with our future thinking on a model, a service model, a business model. I don't know what we want to say, but what we have done here so far is a research that sets out a minimal viable product that relates to a very particular problem that we had identified. And we are very successful. So we are getting a lot of partners who now would like to work with us, but how do we make sure that the data do not end up in Oslo? How do we make sure that this comes back into what I think VODAN Africa really wants to do, and that is improve the quality of health. Improve the quality of health at point of care through digital data. So what we have done so far, I think, is begin really the finalized MVP, begin the deployment of the MVP, and begin to learn from that deployment. And then we have done presentations to show to the world that we are here. And now from the world, a lot of questions are coming back. And in those questions, there are a lot of challenging questions that require us to think, where do we want to go? This could be really big, but do we want it to be big? And if it is big, for what? For the sake of what or whom? So these are things that in the next period we need to start thinking about and guiding ourselves in the direction that we as the central core feel comfortable about. So I've gone now into the generation of new support and the update on research meetings. One very concrete thing that we got today is that we have received a grant for one full-time PhD for 4 years with the Polytech in Paris. That is together with our colleague Simcha Jong from the University of Leiden, but he also works at the Polytech in Paris. I'm going to, we are working on the final text for the advertisement, and then we will be sending this, this out, but that should be a very good thing. And there have been very important meetings with Farm Access, who wants to begin deployment in a good number of health facilities in Zimbabwe. That's an opportunity for us. That is a very good opportunity to look at future collaboration. But then we also need to make sure that we are ready and that we have answered those questions that you raise, Araya, from whom is the data? If the data is there, are we just going to, what is allowed to be done with the data and not? And how do we make sure that this remains from the health facilities, which is the basic idea on which we started? So these premises, as these conversations, we want to partner. AMREF came. I was in a meeting 2 hours yesterday with AMREF, Farm Access, and a range of other partners have come, sometimes private, sometimes public. And I cannot also actually proceed with those conversations unless we have bigger clarity on how we want to organize that. So maybe in one of the next meetings, we should really also begin to address that. But we can only start addressing that if KAU is sure that he gets quality data. I cannot go into these discussions and we don't have the data. That would be ridiculous. And we also need to make sure that Putu can say the privacy concerns, I can sign for this, that we are GDPR compliant. And we also need to make sure that Dr. Ibrahim can say the security of the system is guaranteed. So what we set out was a minimal viable product in which the health facilities would have the data from the health facility in the health facility. And we would have an aggregate data production. We would be able, where needed, to flow the data into the HMIS. And then we had also the Allegro graph, but that is not really very relevant for the production process. And then we have a number of assumptions. And the assumptions is that the data clerks can enter the data as part of their regular work without duplication, etc., etc. And then we have assigned responsibilities to the country coordinators to make sure that the product is installed, that the health facilities are producing and seeing the data visually in the health facility dashboard, and that we have the aggregate dashboard. And then we have the experts, Putu on privacy, Araya on the readiness assessment, KAU on the quality of the data, Ibrahim on the security of the system. So we need to make sure that we have done all of these things so that then we can start preparing for the next, what comes next. And the problem is, if we don't have that in place, you can negotiate the wrong things with these partners who are interested to work with you, because you might already give away all of the software, which in fact we want to use for our own proposition and so on. So you need to guide me on the proposition as we go forward. I'm a simple researcher. So the only thing that I'm interested in is what does VODAN Africa want? And for this, it is important that from VODAN Africa, we have all of the experts have been able to make their assessment, and that this comes together in a joint assessment. So that is, I think, where we are, which is a good place to be. And then the special issue, which reports on a lot of this, is going in print. Really, you have all been contacted by Luana to get the final information of authors. That is going in print, really, if not this week, then the next week, but it's soon. And we are starting to think about the next special issue and publications as well. So we'll get back to that. So let me hand over with that maybe too long speech from my side to you, Araya, and then back to Dr. Reginald on what we have tried to do here today, kind of take really an update on where do we stand and where do we go and how do we bridge from where we are now to being clear where we want to go. Araya.
Yeah, I think we have explained it very well. And if you put the questions regarding the 5 points raised, and maybe Dr. Reginald and you can add any important point you see. That would be very helpful. And together with Putu, with Gato and Samson, we were also working on generic questions for assessing the implementation. So Puto already have the forms, but they are subjected for further development or refinement. And I think in the past 2 weeks, Puto and Dr. Reginald, they have been guiding us with the key questions that we may consider during the implementation. So Puto was working on a PowerPoint on the major issues, so we can bring all together the point that we raised today, the PowerPoint that was developed by Dr. Reginald and Puto for guiding us, and the forms, Google Forms that we were trying to develop few questions for the country coordinators and for the VODAN members of specific roles. Then I think we can get some feedback, and we will have a kind of structured way of collecting the feedback even before the weekly meeting. If we can do this, at least we will make sure that we are touching or we are following the key element that we have agreed in the partnership agreement, VODAN agreement, and the assumptions. Thank you.
Putu, do you think that that is possible? Or Reginald, let me hand over to you. Yeah, thank you.
I think mine was just to say thank you to everyone, every country coordinator, the technical teams. A lot of work has been done. I think we generally understand what needs to be done, but then there are a few things we said, the nitty-gritty, tightening the loose ends. We can be able to produce our minimum viable product that anybody can come and say we can showcase. And as Professor just put it, if we're going to create new partnerships, we have to be the people above them, directing them on how to deal with fair data within our own health facilities. So we should be the experts. So what we are trying to do today, which has been very successful, is to assess where we are. And the questions being raised are very important. Some of the questions may be carried forward, maybe to the next level. But if we can meet the minimum viable product, that's what we are saying. So on my and Putu, perhaps what we need to do is insist on the video production, each country per health facility, that we can be able to demonstrate that we understand what we are doing. And that can also be data to be kept in our system as a demonstration that we have achieved that. If we can do that by this week, the next Monday, Tuesday, we can demonstrate to you, Professor, that we have done something. Then it's from there that we can critique. Then we can say why these are not bad. Why is this data still are not able to achieve ABC? Why are we behind? Or can we create a training manual? You know, these questions will come up when we're able to demonstrate something. So thank you very much. Putu, back to you and Professor. Putu.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Reginald. Yeah, from my side, actually, I tried to structurize two previous discussion with country coordinator is reshaping my report about what happened, and now this discussion also happened in this meeting. So I will try to extract everything in a Google Sheet, and also I will coordinate with Dr. Araya to let's start to like to fill the Google form report from before the meeting, and then I will synchronize the report, synchronize the result of the Google form on the report. So actually that is feasible to do, Prof. Miriam. And is there any last question before I close the meeting, because now it is
it took long, but
yeah.
we had an absolutely excellent and very productive meeting. I am so happy. Thank you everyone for the wonderful report backs. Also, Mariam and Kawu, thank the data and Reginald, thank the data stewards for their very, very important work to really get these things in place. I remember from today's meeting what Samson said, that every situation is so different, and are we ready to deal with the differences in those situations? And what Dr. Raya said, we are not producing here a shortcut. We are producing something here that is a true solution to a real problem. And we have gone very, very far. And yeah, this is a team of champions and a team of leaders. Putu, I think we missed you when you were away. Thank you for the very structured follow-up, and Dr. Reginald for always leading the country coordinators. I would like to suggest also that sometimes we try and also look at the innovation work that has been produced in Mekelle. Ming Yu, who has some things to say about the issue of permissions, so that we try to do the very steady work of, are we putting the MVP in place? Do we know what the problems are? We do the deep learning, as Dr. Araya keeps insisting, and he is right. And that we also get inspiration from the things that are already being done, even we're not even aware. Maybe we're getting very bored because we know there should be so many deployments here and there. The real deployment can be hard, although you can make it interesting if you try to really research it and analyze it, like Dr. Araya is suggesting. But also we can be inspired by each one of us who is already taking it beyond the MVP. And of course, it's only the MVP that we need to achieve here. But many of us have already tried to go beyond there. And we need to do that, because if we want to link up with the partnerships, we need to understand what we want to do, where we want to go, and what is possible, and what we have also already within reach of extending ourselves. So maybe we also plan some time to for that. And maybe Samson can give us a demonstration of what he prepared for the very extreme case situation in Mekelle. And we can also plan a presentation by Ming Yu at some point soon. So with that, I hand back over to you, Putu, to professionally close the meeting. Thank everybody. Again, happy Eid and happy holidays. I'm going on holiday myself, but VODAN is not work. So I will continue whenever I do not have a clashing meeting. The reason that I was not there in the last 2 weeks was because I had clashing meetings for VODAN. But in the next period, when I'm going to try and take some rest, I will attend the meetings of VODAN as part of my holiday. So with that, I hand over back to you, Putu, and thank everybody for their presence here today and for this excellent meeting.
Okay, thanks, Prof. Miriam. I will close the meeting. So thanks, everyone. As always, the video recording of the webinar will be available this week in YouTube and will be shared in WhatsApp. Thanks again for joining us. We will see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Mariam.
Bye, Miriam.